Okay, it's Holly and Max with Wild Blessings, and I am so excited to be here. I've got so much to share and to talk with you all about. And today we're going to be talking about seizing the seasons. And I think you're going to really enjoy this class. But before we get started, I wanted to just thank you all. Well, Max is going to say goodbye. Hi. Can y'all hear me? Okay, I wish I could see you, but I'm making the best of this. And this is actually turning out pretty good because you know how I used to drag all this stuff to the mercantile? Well, now I can just set it up in my kitchen, which is pretty nice. All right, so first I want to just thank you all for being a part of the Wild Blessings community. And I've had so much fun reading your poems and your comments and seeing how you're taking pine seriously and how you've been making teas and all kinds of cool things. So I'm just grateful for the privilege of being part of this community with you. So before I get started, I'm going to pour myself some Spruce Nib Tea, which has a completely different taste than pine, very vanilla-y and extremely delicious. So I put the spruce nibs in here. These are from last spring, and so this is the preserved harvest. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. Okay, so let's see. I wanted to thank Karen Reynolds, Karen Headley, Nancy Smith, Jody Hatzakorzian, Jamie Green, Shauna, Grace Lazane, Maggie Russell, and Susie Turp for all writing poems. And I can't tell you the joy it brought me to read them. I only wish that we could have all done this together so we could be clapping and hollering for one another as you read your poems. So I just this very second put all of those names into a raffle generator on the computer. And this is the poem that won. Oh, before we get started, I wanted to show you what, so be thinking which one of these things you want, because you get one of these I'll mail to you. I made a pine roller with Young Living pine essential oil. I think I have 17 drops in there, and then the rest is olive oil. And this is a, isn't this cute? This is filled with sugar, evaporated cane sugar, and little tiny pieces of pine needle. So it's a pine sugar I'm infusing. Or I've made a pine bath salts, which are amazing for aching muscles with Young Living essential oil and also pine twigs and needles. So be thinking which one of these you want, or I can give you a package of my husband's beautiful artwork. So those are the options. You can get one of those. And so this is the poem that that just happened to be the winner. I didn't like it better than the others. I love them all. And so it says this. When you see a pine tree, what do you think? Do you think it's ugly, bushy, in the way, just a tree? What if I told you there's more you should see? It gives food, healing, and protection. It gives shade, fresh air, and hope. It gives more than you can fathom. It's a gift from God to hold. It builds houses. It makes beds. It's cured thousands. It has fed. It's more than just a pine. It's a tree of life. Or so the past has said. The next time you see a pine tree, think of these words from me. Take a pause. Take a look. Make it your new favorite nook. Thank the Lord above for his creations. He supplies for all the nations. Then go home, grab your book, and learn more about this beautiful gift. He's not ugly. He's not in the way. He's a hidden gift to make your day. So Shauna, I don't know your last name, but you just kicked ass. That was amazing. I loved it. So let me know. You can PM me and tell me which one you want me to mail to you and give me your address so I can send it off this week. Okay, so let's see, pine. So we talked about our pine. Let me look over this. We did our review. Oh, I wrote a blog. I wrote a blog on pine this week. It was a lot of work, but I think I got a lot of great pictures in there and some of your guys' comments. So check out that on wildblessings.com. These are all going to be bones to a future book on befriending plants. Oh, our verse, I want to, what's that? Oh, was I banging it? Just tell me. Oh, did it fall down? Okay, Jason's helping me. I'm just clueless. Okay, so our verse for the pine was, and if you want to memorize these scriptures with me, knock yourself out. It'll bless you in more ways than you can imagine. Great are the works of the Lord. They are studied by those who delight in them. Splendid and majestic are his works. He has made his wonders to be remembered. And so I'm hoping that after we studied all that we did about pine, you'll remember these amazing things about this gift from God, and you will delight in them. Okay, so that's our pine verse, and our winner was Shauna. So I'll just write Shauna's name up here. Okay, so Ecclesiastes 3 is a very famous part of Scripture. It says, God has made everything beautiful in its time. He has made a season for every activity under heaven. So just personal, confession. When I was younger, I was such a rebel. I still am, kind of. But I would just kind of do whatever I felt like doing, whenever I felt like doing it, even if it was not the right timing. And there's some issues with that. And I remember watching Groundhog Day and watching Andy McDowell or whatever saying how she goes with the flow and it brought her this far. And I thought, well, that isn't what changed my mind about that, but I thought that was pretty cute. So going with the flow is kind of a wise thing to do. And so when in the summer or in the spring is planting, and in the summer is growing, and in the fall is harvesting, and in the winter is resting. So those are the rhythms of life. And so getting in sync with that is really smart. So as I was praying and walking these hills, I was thinking, Lord, what do you want me to focus on? Because I could just, there's so much I want to teach. I have over 100 topics. And he just reminded me, enjoy what's here now. Be here now and observe what's here now, which I always do, but to teach you how to do that as well. And so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about in the next few weeks is what does winter have to offer? So I call it the winter pause. And I wanted to read to you this amazing part of my devotional. It's called Streams in the Desert. And I can't remember which day this was. It was some day in January that I read this. But there are gifts in every single season. And it's wise to follow that flow as to get in sync with nature and its offerings. Winter's seeming silence and its inactivity is necessary. It's necessary. And so listen to this. This is incredible. There is no music during a musical rest, but the rest is part of the making of the music. In the melody of our life, the music is separated here and there by rest. During those rests, we foolishly believe we have come to the end of the song. Yet how does a musician read the rest? He counts the break with unwavering precision and plays his next note with confidence, as if no pause were ever there. Because God does not write the music of our lives without a plan. Our part is to learn the tune and not be discouraged during the rest. They are not to be slurred over, these rests are not to be slurred over or omitted, nor used to destroy the melody or to change the key. If we will only look up, God himself will count the time for us. So winter is a time of rest and a time of being still and knowing that he is God, and a time of enjoying what you had preserved or prepared in advance. And there's a scripture in Proverbs, I was going to look it up, about the ant prepares for the winter by storing up, and there's the silly Aesop's fable too about the grasshopper who didn't and came to the ant asking for his supplies. And the ant said, no, you didn't prepare. So there's a lot of preparing, and I'll be teaching you all about that in future months. And you can freeze things, you can dry things, you can pickle them, you can ferment them. And so I wanted to I'm going to start every class with some activity related to cooking and enjoying something from the preserved harvest. So I'm going to go into my wild freezer. Whoa, French. And there's all kinds of crazy things in there, but this here is, milkweed. Okay, and this is the milkweed flower buds. So I blanched them by, this is I think these come out like in early June, well, all of June and even early July. But they look like little broccoli heads and they taste like it as well. Milkweed has 6 edible parts, and I'm tempted to go into that, but this is an offering from summer. So let me show you how I'm going to prepare this. So I made a macaroni and cheese dinner for tonight, and I'm going to just take a bunch of these, not all of them. I poured a lot in there. And I'm going to refreeze the rest of these really quick so they don't get old. Okay. Then I'm going to take these and just, I could get them wet, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to take a spoon and just roll it in. So I don't know if you saw my blog on the secrets of wild cooking, but it all starts with addition. So just simply adding to what you already cook wild edible plants is really simple. And so whenever you would think you would need broccoli or something like that, you could use the milkweed flower buds. You want to get these buds before they start turning pink and before they start to open their flowers, and that's when they're really prime energy. It's all about the energy, and so you're following the energy. And so it seems like in winter that there isn't any energy, that everything seems and appears dead, but that's not true. That energy is down below the soil, just waiting to spring forth, and actually it's building so that it can spring forth. And without that rest, you know, God just knows. He's so wise. And we need those rhythms in our own lives as well. Okay, so now I've got that mixed pretty well. I'm going to pour it into my iron skillet. And I'm going to stick this in the oven. And hopefully by the time our class is over, this will be ready, and I wish I could share it with you, but I can show it to you. All right, so this is going into my oven. Oh, Jace, would you start the timer for me? 30 minutes would be great. Okay. All right, so that's just one way that you can enjoy one of a winter activity, and like almost every day, well, every day I find something that I've preserved and I use it. It's either been pickled or fermented or frozen or dried, usually a tea or all kinds of incredible things. I'll probably show you my freezer and the weird things that are in there. There's dried berry, or there's frozen berries, there's frozen nuts, there's frozen flowers made from wild plants, there's frozen vegetable parts, there's frozen roots, or there's dried roots. It's just amazing what's out there for free for the knowing and the picking. So, okay, so that was Ecclesiastes 3, God makes everything beautiful in its time. So when you, in the winter pause or the winter rest and the winter wonders, we can eat the preserved harvest. And so if you ride nature's wave with me, I'll show you every week what's on God's grocery store shelves and how you can prepare it. So some of the activities that we can do while we are in this winter pause is just be still and be and observe. And so I want to recommend that you spend time outdoors every day, even if it's cold. I don't care what the weather is like. There's just something amazing to watch every day. Even this morning I was watching the sunrise, and it was just beautiful. And the warmth of the sun hitting my face, and just feeling the, just seeing the seed skeletons of last year. They're looking pretty sad, but they always are sentinels showing the life that is coming very soon. So before you know it, in the spring. So we can be still, we can observe, we can wait, we can pause, we can trust, we can read, we can learn, we can dream, we can listen, we can imagine, we can envision, and we can write. And so in this season, it's not as crazy. You're not constantly out there. There's not too much to do. And so all of those things seem to be very kind of like receptive. And it's a time of soaking in so that much can come forth. And it's also an action time. So let me share with you some actions that we can do. So we can declutter. So one of the things I've done is I've gone through my wardrobe of nature scraps, and I've organized that. And I'll probably take a picture and put that on Wild Blessings. You know, all my acorn caps and of the different types of acorns and all kinds of pine cones and twigs, etc. So there's a lot you can do with decluttering. You can declutter your yard. You can get rid of the dead branches and put them into a burn pile. You can prune, and pruning is important this time of year because it's best to prune an elderberry or a fruit tree or any, like a lilac or something now, because the cold weather will help it to heal quicker. So pruning is a good time. So when you're out there observing, you're just kind of looking and you're thinking, gee, you know, I can see that elderberry is not going to do as well this year because it really needs to be pruned back. So do that now. If you waited and did it in the summer, it could cause damage to the plant and bring disease or insects to kind of recycle it if it's starting to get sick. Okay. You can also, burn piles. And so I've got a burn pile that I've been building up, and actually I haven't started it yet, but I've got like 3 of them. So I'm going to feed the big one with the ones that are on the side because I didn't want it to be too enormous. And use your Christmas tree as fire starter because it's so volatile for a burn pile. Okay. And then also the twigs and stuff that you catch, you are cleaning up your yard and decluttering your yard with can go into the burn pile. So let's see, make sure you have no poison ivy in the burn pile. That's not a good thing. Okay, spreading seeds. So I have, I'll be doing an entire class on seeds, but one of the things that I've been collecting and organizing are wild seeds. And so I have tons of them, and I put them in little packages. So I've got Queen Anne's lace, and I have amaranth, and I have lamb's quarter, and I have yellow dock, and milkweed, and burdock, and oh my word, you know, like all of my favorites, all the ones I could not live without. And I'm constantly spreading seeds. So this week I took a lot of video of, Jason took some video of me spreading seeds around our mountain. And I'm going to teach you a way to spread seeds today for winter sowing that I just learned about this week. And I'm so stinking excited about it. So I can't wait to share it with you. And I'm hoping you'll do it with me. Hi Karen, hi Ava, hi Karen. Do you know we have 4 Karens on this group? We have Karen Reynolds with a K, like K-A-R-E-N, and we have a K-A-R-A-N and a K-A-R-O-N. And I think there's another kind as well. I mean, it's just so cool. So welcome all the Karens. And then who else is there, Jace? Oh my gosh, Andrea. Hi kids. Mwah. Love you guys. Oh, Jason, thank you so much. See, I can't see you all. So give me hearts if you can see me. All right, so collecting the seeds, and I do a whole class on that, and I'll be showing how to do that. But even now, there's seeds out there to be collected. So today, I'm going to show you, let me see. We're going to do a winter seed sowing activity. Maggie, hi Maggie, I'm wearing your earrings. By the way, guys, if any of you want these diffuser earrings, Maggie makes them, and they're just amazing. All her things are amazing. So this is milkweed, and this is the seed pod, and I collected maybe, I don't know, 50 of these, and I have so much fun. I'm going to go ahead and make a glorious mess. Oh, it feels so silky. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? So at first they look like a bunch of fish scales all just tucked in. Look at that, really tight. I put a picture of it on our Wild Blessings group. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Okay, so I will collect all those. I won't waste them, I promise. but they're beautiful. And one of the things you can do with your jeweler's loop, and by the way, I'm really proud of all of you that bought a jeweler's loop, and if you don't have one yet, make sure you get one. But it's really best to get this kind, where it's got kind of a fat side and a skinny side. And Jace, can you give me like a 10-minute warning towards the end of class? So, because I'm not looking at the time. All right, you put the fat side up to your eye and close the other eye, and then you bring into, let me get one. You bring into focus, oh my goodness, that is so astounding, until the seed is totally in focus. But see how my other eye is closed, so I have no peripheral vision. So that's way better than the other kind of loops that, you know, don't have this. So make sure you get this kind. All right, so each of these seeds is beautifully, delicately, amazingly decorated by the Creator. And the little parachutes are meant to float them far away from the parent plant, sometimes up to 5 miles away, depending on the wind currents. So these are what we're going to plant today. And Chastity, oh, hi Grace. Mwah. Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do for preparing. Hi Susie, is to gather a bunch of these plastic water jugs. And so Jason bought me 3 this week of distilled water, which I always need anyway. I made one up already. This one is New Jersey Amaranth Red Root, seeds from my mentor, Linda Runyon. And she gave these to me in about 8 years ago, but she collected them in 1995, so I don't know if they're still viable, but we shall see. All right, so I've got that one ready to go. And I made this one too, and this one has got burdock in it. And I left the seeds outside so they could stratify. But this is, I wish I had done this back in January. Anyway, so what you do, and I'll go ahead and do one to show you, is you want to cut I don't want to cut myself. So, no, I can do this. All right, so see how Jason left a little bit of it for me to make a hinge. So there's my hinge. See the hinge right there? And you just cut, and you make holes in the bottom. I've got 4 holes. And let me take a sip. All right, and then I prepared soil. So I just got some starting soil or seed soil, and starting for seedlings. And I also put some vermiculite in there just to make it a little bit lighter. And so I'm going to go ahead and fill this up in the base. And what's amazing about these is these are like little greenhouses, and you don't have to grow lights, you don't have to keep them indoors with a heating pad or anything like that. You put them where you get the most sun during the day, outside. And you leave the lid off so they get all of the snow and all of the rain throughout the winter and the warmth of the sun. So I don't know about you, but that is just so cool. I'm always spreading milkweed seeds because they are so important to the monarch butterflies, and our monarch butterfly population is horrifically in danger because so many farmers are killing their seeds or their weeds, and so much grow. Anyway, we need to plant milkweed. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm going to bend this back so I can work on it. And I've got it perfectly moistened. It's just the right texture. And then, where did I put it? Oh, I just took a chopstick and I'm going to make a little hole for where I want to put my seeds. So I will give you a link below where I got this idea, and you will just be astonished at the kind of planting that this woman has done with cold water plants, you know, like broccoli and cauliflower and stuff like that. You would never want to do it with tomatoes or peppers. I just love playing with that. It just feels amazing. All right, so I'm going to pop these in. And the rule of thumb with seeds is that you want them to go down about the depth of the size of the seed itself. So like when I planted the amaranth, I hardly put any soil over it because they were so tiny. And these I'm just going to tuck down a tiny bit. And then you want to use duct tape, not shipping tape, because the shipping tape doesn't hold as well. Okay, I hope I didn't overdo it. So here's the duct tape, and you want to close it up. I'm going to close it up all the way later. I'm just giving you an idea. All right, so you don't want this to be open at all. You want it to be like this. No lid. Just put all of these out in the sun, probably where your neighbors won't see them because plastic isn't all that attractive. And then I'm going to continue, just check. Like if you don't have a lot of snow, then make sure you water it from time to time just to make sure that once they start to germinate, a seed starts to germinate, it must stay watered. So you might want to sprinkle some water in, like, I'm going to go ahead and water it right now. But the soil was already moist. So I'm excited. I'm going to show you as these start growing how they're doing. So I've never done this before, but I'm doing it now, and I'm going to do it for all the rest of my wild edible seeds as soon as I possibly can, probably this week. Okay. So so now I want to talk about some other things that we do. So we've talked about we can prune, we can declutter, getting rid of leaves in gardens and getting rid of old growth. We can plan, where you're going to plant some of these, or collect, collecting the seed. You can still do that. Or if I'm going to be, the winner of this week's poem will be getting one of every type of wild edible seed that I've collected, so that you can have your own seed collection, which I think is very cool. And I might add something else fun to it as well. Okay, so one of the things you always do, and I've always told my students this, is that keep your eye open for what's coming. So right now on Nature's Shelf, there's a lot of allium, wild allium, that came out in early January. I mean, it might have even been here in December. I don't remember. But I forgot to get out and get some this morning, but that you can cook with that constantly. You need those nutrients in there. God knows that, and that's why it came up early. There's chickweed out there now. There's, I'm talking fresh. There's mustard, there's a bitter crust, there's watercress, there's yellow dock. So there's already a lot to eat, and I'll show you next week how you can work with those. However, what's coming up is tapping. And so when the weather is like super freezing at night and above 40 degrees during the day, that is when you want to tap your trees. And so there's a lot of edible trees that you can get water from, but what you want to get sap from is the sugar maple. And so here's some maple syrup that I didn't make this maple syrup. I've made maple syrup in the past, but we're completely out of that. But I wanted to show you that I made this incredibly delicious brownie with maple syrup. And so it has no sugar, it has the maple syrup, it has no flour. I used plantain brownies instead of for the starch. And I don't know if any of you've ever tasted my plantain brownies, but they're so good. So I'll give you the recipe for that in the comments. But I wanted to show you that maple season's coming, and we're going to do an entire class on tapping maples. But in preparation, there's some things you might want to purchase. Like, for example, you might want to collect these if you have a neighbor that buys milk or whatever out of these plastic jars. Maybe you could say, could you save them for me? Or if you have them yourself, collect them so you can do them, and let me know how you do, and show me pictures of your collection, because this is an interactive community. I want to do this together. I learn best by doing. I learn best by eating and rolling in things. And by the way, speaking of rolling, did you see the pictures of Max that I posted yesterday? He rolled in bear poop, in deer poop. He got into a muddy swamp. I mean, I don't think he's ever been that filthy, but he's really clean now because I had to give him a bath. So one of the things you might want to purchase are these files, and these are for tapping maple trees. And so I'll give you the link below. They're, I think it was like $20 for 6 of these, and that'll give me 6 trees that I can tap. So we'll have a class on that, but you know, that's just thinking ahead. Like say I taught the class, I teach the class, but you don't have these ready to go. Of course, you can make them out of branches and stuff, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But if you want to buy these now, then you're ready to go. Okay, so what else can we talk about buying? So get your jeweler's loops, get your maple taps, prepare these if you want to do them. All right, so then there's another scripture that says, while the earth remains, this is the verse kind of for today, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest. Seed time is like springtime, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. And so God is faithful, and he uses those seasons of summer and spring and summer and winter, fall and winter, to provide a rhythm for our life. And he promises that those seasons will not cease as long as the earth remains. So I was up watching the sunrise this morning, and great is his faithfulness. I was thinking about the old hymn, you know, great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father, there is no shadow with turning with thee, thou changest not, thy compassions they fail not, as thou hast been, thou wilt forever be. Summer and winter, springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. So one of my favorite musicians is Sara, and she took that song and she wrote the most beautiful rendition of it. And so I'm not going to sing it, but I'll give you a link for that below. But the words to the first verse are this: morning by morning I wake up to find his power and comfort, the power and comfort of God's hand in mine. Season by season I watch him amazed at all of the mystery of his perfect ways. All I have need of, your hand will provide. You've always been faithful to me. So that's pretty much all I have to share. I could talk about each of these aspects of winter work. One of the things I wanted to tell you that we will be doing, hold on, let me check my dinner real quick. Oh, it's looking good. So one of the things that I wanted to recommend as a homework assignment is to go out into your yard, because you want to be familiar with what God has given you, because honestly what you need is really pretty much right there around you. And so be aware of that and become familiar and intimate with each of the plants and each of the trees on your land. And so what I did is I went out and with Max, and I cut down 2 twigs of each of the trees near my house. And let me just pull all of these out, hold on. So I recommend that you do the same. So we'll have a whole class on this, but I want you to get to the point where you have collected every single tree branch that you have on your land. Because if you can know a tree and know its gifts and its food, it can provide food for the whole neighborhood. So you want to know what trees you have. You want to be able to identify them by their leaf casings, by their little catkins, by their leaves, by their bark, by their branching and their structure. So get 2 of each kind, and you don't have to know what it is, just get it. And then create you can make a bouquet out of them or something. And then we'll be talking about all the different types of trees. So each one of these has a name, and each one of them has as many gifts as pine does, honestly, and it just is astonishing. To me, it's absolute worship. And the more you learn about what God has provided for us, the more you feel loved and cared for and protected and seen. And so be sure that you delight in the things that God has created so that you can make the most of these gifts, because there's riches untold at our feet and all around us for the knowing and the picking. Okay, well, let me know, Shauna, which one of these gifts you want. Your homework assignment this week, guys, is to cut down 2 little tiny branches of each tree on your property. You don't have to know what they are, just have them. You can send a picture, put it on Facebook on Wild Blessings. Keep drinking pine tea. What else did I ask you to do? Oh, if you wanted to do the seed thing, that's totally optional. I want you to write a poem, of course, on seasons. So following the seasons and being in sync with what God has already created is so wise. In fact, it's that way in every aspect of life. As a child, the scriptures say, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I acted like a child, I played like a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. And so there's a time when you're a child of really enjoying being a kid. And I think that's one of the things that really pisses me off the most right now in our society, is that children are growing up too fast, and it's not even in a good way. They're thinking about things they shouldn't be thinking about. They're not out there skinning their knees and climbing trees and getting pine sap all over their jeans. They're not in nature. They're on their phones like 95% of the time. A study was recently done, and so that's very damaging. So we'll do a whole class on the restorative power of nature. But if a child is allowed to be a child while they're a child, and then puts off, sex and crazy things until they're older and it's the right time for that, then they will be a beautiful mature tree and they won't be damaged. So there's just a lot to be said about following rhythm. So make the most of winter, make the most of today, and look around you and see what God's given you. Even in this winter season, there is so much to observe and to look forward to as it starts to unfurl. So God bless you guys, and thank you for joining me, and I'm so looking forward to connecting with you guys on Wild Blessings. Oh, we still have 4 minutes. Oh, let me go check my, I don't want to just keep rambling. Let me go get my casserole and see what it looks like. Okay. Can you see that? These are the beautiful broccoli milkweed pods, and I don't know if you can, what am I supposed to do? You talk to me, it's okay. Like this? Yeah. Like that? Okay. I think what I'm going to do before I serve this to Jason for lunch is put some cheddar cheese on top and stick it back in on the broiler, and then it'll just be kind of crunchy and delicious. So this is our lunch, by the way. And then you got some brownies with maple syrup for dessert.
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. All right. I'm looking forward to connecting with you all on Wild Blessings. If a friend wants to join, they have to friend me first so that I can invite them to join Wild Blessings. Have a blessed week.